Steady tonal vibrations resonated harmoniously in the cool darkness, creating an evolving, three-dimensional soundscape. Soft pings punctuated the ambience, like stars blinking into and out of existence. Occasionally, a high note would streak through the auditory chaos like a falling droplet of water. Gradually, the ensemble lowered its volume until, after many minutes, only silence remained. In the void that was left, a deep and powerful mind stirred, unraveling its tangled thoughts and illuminating the surrounding consciousness. Selra awakened from her meditative state and immediately checked her ship and surroundings. Everything was in perfect order, and the human spaceship still floated silently beside her own. After 311 minutes of rest, she felt mentally refreshed and ready for the tasks ahead. There was still time left, but much to do. First, she needed to prepare the visitor room, creating the special atmosphere required by the human. She also wanted to address issues with her translator device. Despite having ample energy reserves, Selra craved a refreshing drink. She reshaped the wall outlet beside her and drank a small portion of sweet liquid before sealing it again. Turning her attention to the translator, she opened her eyes and illuminated her chamber with a thought. Retrieving the tiny disc from where it was attached to the wall, she carefully scanned its structure. She reflected on the human communication method she had observed. The way they created air vibrations was vastly different from how they perceived them. Her translator was based on a reverse of the latter, as it seemed a more efficient means of communication, particularly because it did not involve moving the air itself. After a moment of contemplation, Selra realized the issue was not with creating the vibrations, but her misunderstanding of the limits of information density. Humans could only produce and follow a single string of vocalizations, even though they could perceive a high density of parallel inputs. This translator would not suffice to convey their language like a human. Its transformation range was too wide, making it difficult to maintain a single string output. However, redesigning the internal components was not possible due to the mixture of flexible and rigid structures. Crushing the translator in her hands, she melted it down and reabsorbed the building blocks. She then summoned fresh materials to her fingertips and began crafting a new device based on an improved design. A cup containing the remains of lukewarm black liquid sat beside the physical keyboard of the console. Two screens displayed diagrams, text, and images of unfamiliar objects. Liam was poring over the analysis report of the alien translator device. Despite its lack of clarity, the report intrigued him with its insights into the alien's building abilities. He learned the alien's name from the transcripts, although he struggled with its pronunciation, despite listening to the isolated sound. The report was essentially a research paper, authored by dozens, examining the translator's outer shell. It consisted of a hydrocarbon polymer lattice with a near-perfect micrometer scale structure, resembling an organic cellular pattern. The structure changed throughout the disk, apparently based on desired mechanical properties. The paper described several lattice structure archetypes with subvariants that fine-tuned the properties far beyond anything humans could achieve with single materials. Notably, while Liam initially thought it to be a circular disk, it was slightly off from a perfect circle, and the material structure was not perfectly symmetrical. The scanner was unable to analyze the internal molecular makeup due to the thickness and density of the outer layer, but given the versatility of the polymer lattice, it was likely the entire device was made from it. Considering the size difference, the translator must have been minuscule for its creator, yet it was intricately detailed, more so than any human-made mechanical device or interpreter. Liam checked the time on one of the screens. He had less than 30 minutes before the next meeting. He donned his all-purpose pressure suit with the interpreter and prepared to check in with his point of contact before returning to the alien ship. Greetings, representative of the humans, and welcome back to my ship. I hope you have rested and recharged well, a voice announced as Liam entered the corridor. It was not the voice he had heard before. Surprised, he stopped mid-step. The voice sounded like his own, though fuller and slightly deeper. From where he stood, He could see the meeting chamber barrier was transparent. He continued forward, somewhat bewildered, and saw a waist-high white cube beside a comfortable-looking chair. A differently colored translator device rested on the chair. Two black eyes, belonging to the massive creature behind the barrier, were fixed on him. The creature reclined comfortably, its arms supporting its head at Liam's eye level. "Greetings. I am glad to be back and am well rested. May I ask if you have made a new translator?" Liam inquired. It was indeed the new, yellow-tinted disc that spoke. "Yes, I have observed the limitations of my previous understanding in the old translator device. I have created a new one that translates my thoughts narrowly and directly." The speech flowed from the translator with remarkable clarity, devoid of distortion or background noise. Even the interpreter was silent. Liam was astonished by how quickly the being had devised and constructed a new translator, especially considering the intricate makeup of the previous one. Removing the earpiece and dismounting the interpreter's rectangular body from his chest, Liam complimented the alien. "I am very impressed by your building abilities and the speed with which you can create things. Could you tell me if this translator is made from the same material as the old one?" "There is only this material for building, and everything I build is made from it." "Your entire spaceship is made from the same material as the translator?" "I constructed the structure and shape of my ship from this material. However, there are other elements within it that sustain my well-being and enable movement. These elements also create the atmosphere and conditions necessary for your well-being." Liam set the interpreter on the chair beside the translator. He was delighted to find the new voice much more pleasant than the old one, yet he still felt it had used his own voice as a template. Human scientists learned from the old translator that its molecular structure is special and complex. They deduced its function came solely from its arrangement, which you have confirmed. How do you create this structure on a molecular level? How do you influence it to meet your needs? A brief silence followed before the translator responded. "I cannot explain. I know of no words in the human language to properly express it." "Well, use some words from your own language. I might understand from the context. My species' way of communicating does not involve the abstraction of language. There are no words in my language that can substitute for those you lack." "You don't use words to communicate?" "My species transfers knowledge and experience without the need for words." Liam considered picking up the interpreter again to keep his hands busy. Something in the alien's explanation didn't add up. "You do have words. You gave me your name, Selra." The alien shifted slightly before replying. "You asked for a name because humans have specific designations for each individual. My species does not require names. We know each other inherently. When you asked for my name, I recalled the sound I was addressed by during my development within my ancestor's body. That is Selra." When the translator voiced its name, Liam heard a faint, low-frequency noise from an indeterminate source. Attempting to restore politeness, he explained, "I couldn't imagine not having words. Human thought is heavily influenced by language. My internal thoughts are mostly formed around language. I apologize for assuming you would have a similar basis." He attempted to repeat the name, Selra. "There is no need to apologize. I had not explained this to you yet. You may call me Selra." "Thank you, Selra. You can call me Liam." How strange it was, Selra thought, to consider an individual not as the entity itself, but as a detached one-word designation. However, with a species numbering in the billions, it was logical that they would require an identification system based on language. Selra's thoughts were interrupted by a realization. She quickly composed a question for the translator. "You have given me words of communication from your language, but not your naming words. Am I missing 22,500,000,000 names?" The reply was tinged with amusement. There were only a few hundred designated human forenames, at most, paired with surnames from another set of words, which only partially overlapped with the forenames. Liam explained that a full name would be the official designation of a human, but it wasn't necessary to use common name words. He mentioned that colonists on a planet in their home system had a tradition of using seemingly random letter and number combinations for names. Additionally, multiple forenames or surnames could be used in combination, as names carried ancestral significance. Liam used his own name as an example, Liam Patrick Carter. He preferred to be called Liam based on his forename. So, only your full name is the unique designation that all humans can use to identify you? Well, that's not always the case. Even full names aren't unique among all living humans. Selra nearly asked why they relied on such a convoluted system. As if sensing the need for clarification, Liam added that names were paired with additional information for unique identification in official matters. Context, combined with the name, was usually enough to identify someone previously encountered. Selra hesitated, having wanted to know the names of all humans. Now she doubted the usefulness of such knowledge. The translator interrupted her thoughts, asking, "Could you please provide me with the names of all humans as you have given me the language information? I wish to learn them and see no efficient way to communicate this extensive number of words through direct communication." "What?" Liam was taken aback. "The names of all humans? That's not possible. Even if I had a list, it would be far too large to transmit all at once." Selra remained silent, pondering this. Liam seized the opportunity to ask, "Could you explain why you want the names of all humans? Why do you need them?" Selra replied, "If I have the names of all humans, I can identify them and experience their culture from their perspective. I'm afraid that's not how it works. Even if you knew all the names, you wouldn't truly know any human, nor would you have a shared cultural perspective. What you ask is similar to how our species knows one another, but humans need to spend time together to truly know each other." "Humans do not know each other inherently?" "Not in the way you mean. It can take years of communication and shared experiences for humans to know each other truly. Even then, it would only be a small fraction of their experiences that they would share and understand." Selra let this new knowledge settle in her mind. It was a stark contrast to her species, whose existence was built upon shared experiences and understanding. Her ability to convey this new concept to her kind was likely impossible. Instead, she simply recorded her experiences for future contemplation. "I understand the context you have provided. However, I cannot say I understand the concept fully," Selra replied. "Perhaps over time, with more communication, you will come to understand." "I'd be happy to answer any questions you have," Liam offered. Selra nodded, considering her next question. After a moment, she asked, "How did your kind come to be without knowing each other inherently? Was there a point in your evolution where you could have known one another?" "I'm not sure how to answer that," Liam admitted. "Human evolution is a complex topic, and it's not fully understood. We do know that humans have always been social creatures, relying on communication and cooperation. Perhaps in our distant past, we relied more on instinctual understanding, but we have evolved to rely heavily on language and learned behaviors." "I see," Selra replied, though she was still puzzled. How had a species evolved to rely on language rather than inherent understanding? Liam shifted in his seat, pondering Selra's question. Finally, he said, "Our reliance on language and communication has allowed us to adapt and thrive in diverse environments. We've learned to share knowledge across generations and cultures, which has helped us advance as a species. It's not that we don't have instincts or an inherent understanding of one another, but language has become our primary tool for communication." Selra considered this explanation, recognizing that her understanding of human culture and communication was still in its infancy. The translator's voice broke the silence, asking, "Do you have any more questions, Selra?" Selra replied, "Not at this moment, but I would like to continue our discussions. I am eager to learn more about your species and culture." "Of course," Liam agreed. "I'm here to facilitate communication and understanding between our species. I'll do my best to answer any questions you have." Selra appreciated the human's willingness to share and teach. She knew there was much more to learn, and that patience and curiosity would be her greatest allies in this endeavor. Selra watched Liam adjust in his seat, noticing the way his posture shifted subtly as he settled in for their conversation. The human seemed comfortable yet alert, a testament to his curiosity and dedication to understanding. Selra found this fascinating. How humans expressed so much through their physical movements and expressions. "I'd like to know more about your kind, Selra," Liam said, leaning forward slightly. "What is life like among your species? How do you live and interact with each other?" Selra paused, contemplating how best to convey the essence of her species' existence. It was a challenge, translating thoughts and experiences into words for someone whose understanding of life was so different. She began carefully. My species is highly interconnected. We do not live as isolated individuals, but as part of a greater collective consciousness. From the moment we are formed, we are linked to others, sharing experiences and knowledge. That sounds incredible, Liam replied, eyes widening with genuine interest. How does that work? Is it like a telepathic connection? Selra hesitated, considering the comparison. It is more profound than what you call telepathy. Our consciousnesses are intertwined, allowing us to understand and feel each other's thoughts and emotions instinctively. There is no need for spoken words. We communicate through the shared experience of our lives. Liam nodded slowly, absorbing this new perspective. That must create a deep sense of unity. Do you ever find it overwhelming? Not at all, Selra replied. It is comforting to know that we are never alone. Our shared consciousness provides us with constant support and guidance. The individual and the collective are one and the same, and we thrive on that connection. It's fascinating how different our species are, Liam remarked. Humans often struggle with loneliness and isolation, even when surrounded by others. We have to make an effort to connect and understand one another, often through spoken words and actions. Selra found this intriguing, realizing that while humans were social creatures, their experience of connection was fundamentally different from her own. Does this ever lead to misunderstandings? She asked. Quite often, Liam admitted with a chuckle. Words can be imprecise, and even when we're trying to communicate clearly, our meanings can be misinterpreted. It's one of the challenges of human interaction, but also one of its beauties, the chance to learn and grow from each encounter. Selra appreciated this insight. It painted a picture of a species constantly striving for understanding, despite the barriers language imposed. Your species must possess a remarkable adaptability to thrive despite these challenges, she observed. Yes, I suppose we do, Liam agreed. Our diversity of thought and experience is one of our strengths, even if it sometimes makes communication difficult. We've learned to find common ground and build connections through our shared stories and experiences. Selra felt a growing admiration for the humans' resilience and determination. She realized that, while their methods differed, both species valued connection and understanding. I would like to hear one of your stories, Liam. Perhaps a tale that holds meaning for your people. Liam smiled, clearly pleased by Selra's interest. I'd be happy to share. Let me think. He paused, gathering his thoughts before beginning. One of our most cherished stories comes from ancient times, a tale about a man named Gilgamesh. It's an epic from Mesopotamia, one of the oldest stories we know, and it tells of Gilgamesh's journey to discover the meaning of life and immortality. Selra listened intently as Liam recounted the epic, fascinated by the richness of human storytelling and its ability to convey complex ideas. She could sense the weight of the narrative. The themes of friendship, loss, and the search for understanding resonated deeply, even across the vast chasm between their species. The story of Gilgamesh reminds us that, despite our limitations, there is value in the journey itself, the pursuit of knowledge, the connections we make, and the wisdom we gain along the way, Liam concluded. It is a beautiful story, Selra said, her voice tinged with awe. Your species possesses a unique ability to capture the essence of life through tales and narratives. It's a skill I greatly admire. Liam beamed at the compliment, clearly pleased. Thank you, Selra. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Stories are a fundamental part of who we are. They help us make sense of the world and each other. Selra felt a deep sense of gratitude for this opportunity to connect with Liam and his kind. She realized that, despite their differences, there was much they could learn from one another. I would like to continue our discussions and share more of our stories. I believe there is great value in our exchange. I agree, Liam said warmly. There is so much we can learn from each other. I'm looking forward to our future conversations. As they sat together in the quiet, Selra felt a sense of peace and anticipation for the journey ahead. She knew that this was only the beginning of their shared exploration, a journey that would bring their species closer together and forge a bond across the stars.